Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this incredibly important discussion about a topic that's affecting the lives of Americans as we sit here today, and that's Puerto Rico's recovery. I'm Jason Marzette, the director of the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center, and on behalf of the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center and the Adrienne Arsht Center for Resilience, we are incredibly excited to be hosting Chef José Andrés today to look at recovery efforts and the lessons for the rest of our hemisphere moving forward. Jose, you said during your interview with 60 Minutes that cooking has to be fun. I guess that's one of the many reasons that I'm not a chef. But I will say that fun is what we do here at the Atlantic Council, not only fun, but also make our events insightful too. So you're in good hands today. This is also a very special afternoon, not only because we're hosting Chef José Andrés, but also for a second reason. And that's because this is the first event in which the two Adrienne Arsht centers at the Atlantic Council are joining forces for our event. And I'd like to acknowledge Adrienne Arsht, a stranger to none of you in the room, a businesswoman and philanthropist who is the incredible founder of both of our centers. Without her vision, we simply would not be here today. So thank you, Adrienne. And I'm also thrilled that my colleague and new friend, Christine Warmoth, the director of the new Adrienne Arsht Center for Resilience, will captain today's discussion with José Andrés. We are here today because we cannot let Puerto Rico and its recovery fade from our radar screens. As we sit here today, 2 months after Hurricane Maria struck the island, less than half the population has power. Communication is still unreliable. 1 in 10 Puerto Ricans lack portable water, and 100,000 Puerto Ricans have left the island, nearly 1,800 residents per day. The island's conditions have spurred an outpouring of support and aid from all over the world, from small personal donations to large star-studded concerts. And today, Chef Andrés joins us in the middle of his outstanding relief efforts in Puerto Rico. Through his foundation, World Central Kitchen, Jose has successfully built a network of kitchens that have served over 3 million meals to Puerto Ricans in need. That's absolutely impressive, Jose, and congratulations to you on the incredible work that you're doing. Going beyond the comfortable and delicious confines of Barmini, Jaleo, Zaitinia, and his other restaurants, Chefs of Puerto Rico is by far the largest relief effort ever made by a group of chefs, and arguably the largest restaurant in the world now created in just 1 week. The breadth and scope of Chefs for Puerto Rico's work has been second to none. They have served more freshly cooked meals than the Red Cross or the Salvation Army. Absolutely impressive. Today is also a moment to rethink how emergency aid is provided, distributed, and monitored. As Jose can surely attest, proper responses to natural disasters truly come down to life or death situations. His work has been highlighted by the Washington Post, the New York Times, CBS's 60 Minutes, and countless others. The hype and praise are, of course, justified, and all this makes you wonder, Jose, really, how do you find the time? It's quite an endeavor. Of course, I'm sure that Jose wished that his efforts weren't needed in the first place in Puerto Rico, that disaster never struck our Puerto Rican neighbors. But what is clear is that many communities in the U.S., as well as in the Caribbean, Latin America, and the rest of the world, lack the necessary preparedness to weather natural disasters. As climate change intensifies, so will the frequency of these disasters. Puerto Rico, Dominica, Mexico City, the Dominican Republic, Houston, and the list goes on, have once again shed light on the importance of resilience, on building sustainable communities that can withstand extreme weather events. The implications of such disasters are felt by the people first, but in more fragile states, like in Central America and our region of Latin America, natural disasters can reverse years of progress in building the economy or improving general social conditions. Although Puerto Rico may not fall within the Latin America Center's natural geographic sphere in of itself, it is crucial for us to think about how these issues affect the region more broadly. the link between climate change, resilience, and democratic governance is quite strong. And as we seek to continue our mission of highlighting Latin America's transformations and promoting the region as a land of opportunity, we must also think about ways to make sure these transformations endure. In other words, how do we make the region's advances resilient as well? With that, I look forward to an enlightening conversation. For those tweeting and posting on social media, which is the only reason to take out your phones during this event, please use the hashtag Chefs for Puerto Rico to follow our conversation online. So with that, please join me in welcoming Chef José Andrés and Christine Mormuth, who will moderate today's conversation.
Yes, we have to have it properly aligned. Well, thank you, Jason, very much. And thanks, everyone, for coming here today. We're just delighted that you all could join us and join Chef Andrés. And I'd like to welcome everyone here today and in particular, thank Adrienne for your support for the Atlantic Council writ large and for both of our centers in particular. For me, I am both a policy wonk and a foodie. I would never say that I'm a chef by any means, but folks who know me know that I do love to cook and I love to eat. And I was bitterly disappointed because as I was halfway into the office today, I realized that I forgot to bring in my very food-stained copy of Made in Spain to ask Chef Andrés to sign it. So I was kicking myself. But so for me, this is really a dream event to have at a think tank, to bring policy and food together. And as I think a lot of folks are following you, Chef Andrés, on Twitter, and we've all seen news coverage of the amazing work that you and Chefs for Puerto Rico have been doing. But we're really excited about the opportunity to talk to you in person and really appreciate, given how busy you've been. I know you spent Thanksgiving in Puerto Rico. You're probably going back soon, so thank you for being here. I would love to hear, I saw in your 60 Minutes interview that you said, you know, when you all got there, you never imagined you would be serving over 3 million meals. You started and said, we'll try to do 25,000 meals, and now it's turned into 3 million meals. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you made the decision to go to Puerto Rico in the first place and what those first couple of days on the ground were like as you pulled everything together?
Well, again, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for supporting this. Listen, I don't know, but I was in the Spanish Navy when I was a young boy. First time I came to the United States of America was on a boat called Juan Sebastián del Cano, a 4-mast, beautiful boat where the midshipmen trained. And this probably was one of the most important moments of my life. I left school fairly young, and being on the military for me really made a big mark in who I became. I think first time ever I went to a place beyond Spain where I saw true need and true hunger was in Ivory Coast, Abidjan. I was there over a week and I was able to visit away from Abidjan, and I saw true need and true hunger. Happened the same when I went to Rio de Janeiro and I saw the favelas. And when I came back to America, then already after I finished the military service, I joined a person called Robert Egger here in Washington, D.C., a guy that has This is Central Kitchen, who he founded on Ronald Reagan Inauguration Day, what is, to me, the best organization on fighting hunger and creating opportunity anywhere in the country. I became a volunteer. I began peeling potatoes next to ex-convicts and homeless, and I saw the true power of food beyond what you can do in a restaurant. There I saw that I'm interested in feeding the few, but even more interested in feeding the many at the same time. And if I tell you my time in This is Central Kitchen, I became the chairman. I helped Robert Egger open LA Kitchen. One morning when I saw what happened in Haiti, I was in Cayman Islands. The earthquake hit, and I don't know, inside me was kind of a call. When I came back to the States, it was only a few weeks later, 2-3 weeks later, then I got on a plane with 2-3 friends and we went to Haiti. With what intention, I don't know, really to help and to see, and I thought I need to learn because I want to be part of this. I do believe that cooks like me, we can have an input, but before we can have an impact, we need to learn what the impact is. So me going to Haiti really was learning. And since then, I've been trying to go to every other hurricane or any other thing that happened on my own with only one mission, try to learn. From Sandy, New York to... So Houston happened, I went to Houston, we were able to make many meals in different places at the convention center, restaurants, and children's hospital. But then when Puerto Rico happened, I don't know, it's because when I was young, I was in Puerto Rico visiting for a month. I have a restaurant in Puerto Rico. I have many ex-employees that work with me from Puerto Rico. I thought, oof, I think I have to go. I think this is really bad. And on the first plane I could on Monday, I got on a plane with a friend of mine called Nate Mook, who is always next to me in these kind of things. Don't tell me why. I called him 3 hours before taking the plane. And we landed in Puerto Rico. And from there, it's simple. We began learning, we began watching, we began seeing what was going on. We saw that there was a need for people to eat. We began buying food. We found a kitchen, Jose Enrique, a friend of mine. His restaurant was very much, the ceiling was semi-gone with water coming down, but we were able to fix it, and we began cooking there for 2,000 people on Monday. I was never imagining that the 2,000 just was the beginning of a bigger adventure. So that's why I went. I had that call of service. I have a hard time watching on TV lately. And quite frankly, I watch other places around the world, and I have like this. I'm myself asking what I'm going to be doing. Keep running my company, or I should be in this other business. But it's too early for me to know.
Can you talk to us? I know one of the features of the work that you and World Central Kitchen have been doing is based around this idea of a chef network. My understanding, I think, is that you had a little bit of a chef network going in Houston, and it sounds like you had one in Puerto Rico. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, how it works, what it brings?
After Haiti, when I left Haiti on my first trip, I think I went almost close to 2 weeks. And I came back home. I had a very clear idea I wanted to do something. And I received, I think, $100,000 from a foundation in New York. They were giving me an award as my contributions as an immigrant. And I thought, but this is for what? That's for you to spend the money anywhere you want. I'm like, really? I can buy a car and it's legal? Yep. It's a foundation called the Beefsteak Foundation that they always gave an award to anybody, to any immigrant that had impact through medicine in the United States or around the world. And then every year they will give it to somebody from the arts. And that year was culinary arts, and they gave it to me. So my wife and I, we were like, what the heck we do with that money? And it's how very much we create World Central Kitchen. And with World Central Kitchen, only we wanted to do very simple. The same things I learned in DC, in LA, how food can be an agent of change. We began doing little projects. So in Haiti, World Central Kitchen, today, we did things like open a bakery in an orphanage with Paul Farmer from Harvard. The bakery doesn't only provide the children as they grow older a place to learn a profession, but those children are all handicapped. They will never leave that place. It's like their home forever, and it's a beautiful place. And that's what we do. We don't only open the orphanage, the bakery, but it's a sustainable business. We began selling the bread. We created a brand, Boulangerie Benin, and it's a very smart way of seeing how charities in the 21st century, what they should become. Mm-hmm. Robert Egger, the same guy from This is Central Kitchen, he said that charity, it seems, is about the redemption of the giver, not the liberation of the receiver. And that's what we need to be doing in the 21st century. And that bakery is precisely about liberation of the receiver. We need to start investing in the same way we do in the private world. What's the return on investment? So we opened a restaurant in the same orphanage. We changed hundreds of schools from charcoal to gas. Mm-hmm. I became the ambassador of the United Nations of clean cook stoves. So just we opened 2 weeks ago after 7 years cooking school for young girls to learn cooking, and then we find them jobs around the community. We've been running the school in partnership with the Secretary of Tourism for over 7 years, but I wanted to have my own building so we could control everything and not being at the expense of government. So we had a lot of projects like this. And in the process, we developed this network of chefs that all want to contribute. When last year the hurricane hit Haiti, went through Jacmel and left through Jeremy in the north, there we were with a couple of food trucks, and we began cooking for the people in need. So as you see, this came from far away. Mm-hmm. Houston was not any different, and Puerto Rico was not any different. We had a group of chefs that when you have needs in medicine or in taking care of the health of people, who do you call? You call doctors, and they take care of the people. If people are hungry, who do you should call? You should call cooks.
Cookbusters.
I think that's a very simple solution. And anyway, I'm so happy that it's a good friend here, a person that became super helpful in Haiti for me. And probably I wouldn't have World Central Kitchen without his support and guidance, him and his wife, Senator Merton here. Thank you for being here again. You are talking about the true hero. If that man was not in Haiti after the earthquake, I don't know what the response will be. But I saw a hero right in front of me, watching him, how he used the resources of America to the betterment of the lives of, in this case, entire city, almost entire country. And I love you for it. And through him, I met many people that then allowed me to have connections in Haiti that made my NGO kind of successful. Still, we were very small. Who was going to tell me again that we were going to be serving so many meals in less than 8 weeks?
Can you talk a little bit more about the clean cook stoves that you all are using? And I think they've been particularly featured in Haiti. At the Resilience Center, we're interested, among other things, in again trying to tackle problems in ways that actually tackle multiple problems, not just feeding people, but doing it in an environmentally safe way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Let's see if I can do this quickly. My lack of English doesn't allow me to express myself quick enough, but happens that the low-hanging fruit of ending poverty and hunger in the world is controlling the flame. My father told me one day that if I wanted to be a cook, and that means stirring the pot and putting the spoon in the pot, first I had to control the fire. That we all want to learn cooking, but we don't spend time understanding the fire and controlling the fire. And until you don't control your fire, it's no cooking you can achieve. So I cannot believe that today, this initiative that actually was really championed and pushed forward by Secretary Clinton in amazing ways. And she's the one that named me ambassador, which is something I love it because I always wanted, in my house, I always had all types of cook stoves. So for you to understand, we have more than 2.5 billion people in the world. I can use 3 billion, and I will be right probably, that they still cook as humanity used to cook over 1 million years ago. If there's any anthropologists here, probably we can disagree on because nobody seems to come up with the right time. I'm okay saying 1 million. But some people said 1 million and more, 250, but controlling fire. 3 rocks and some wood and fire, right? 1 million years later, still we have hundreds of millions of women that still have 3 rocks and wood. Is that logical? Do we want to end hunger and poverty? So women are unhealthy. Over 4 million women die every year because they smoke. They inhale. Are you with me? 4 million, probably more. They're slaves in the process of feeding humanity because it takes much longer to be cooking with the fire. We're investing in schools. That's the wrong investment, people. You want young girls to go to schools? You can build million schools. If their families are using those young girls to go to the forest to pick up the wood, is no way those young girls have time to go to the school. Because on top of that, they use them to pick up water to somewhere very far away from their home. So it's okay to invest in the schools, but we have to be investing also in the solutions. Then deforestation, a place like Haiti, water should be celebrating life. When water comes, no trees, No healthy soil, the water slides down the mountain. Takes away any hope of any tree surviving, and then goes into the farming areas and takes away the topsoil. No farming output. Then the topsoil ends in the ocean. Oceans are dirty, the coral reef doesn't exist, there's no life, no baby fish, no fishing industry. When you have no coral, no reef, usually it's no tourism. Imagine all of a sudden we bring every woman in the world, every household in the world, a clean cook stove, LPG, or an improved cook stove, still using charcoal or wood, but because the mechanics of the kitchen allow us to use much less, right? Less emissions of CO2, less smoke. The women are healthy. The women all of a sudden are not a slave of cooking with charcoal, but they have more free time because the cooking is quicker and faster and in a cleaner environment. The young girls don't have to go to the forest. Nothing happens to them. On top of that, they have time to go to the school. All of a sudden, the trees flourish in the areas that we should have trees because we are talking about the tropics. All of a sudden, the harvest multiplies by 10. All of a sudden, the reef is healthy. Fish industry shows up. Tourism arrives. And all because a humble investment of a kitchen that can cost anywhere between $5 and $20. Do we want to end hunger and poverty in the 21st century? Let's invest in the kitchens that feed humanity, and we'll have hope that we'll end hunger and poverty. Why? Because right now, the money, the economies, anybody from the World Bank or IMF, the money goes into the smoke. Families can be spending anywhere between 10 and 40% of their daily income in the charcoal to feed the family. Imagine you had to spend 40% of your income only on the fire to feed your family. You wouldn't be here, people. You wouldn't be here. So in the moment we liberate those families with income they can save into their pockets, that then they can invest in the local economy, improving education for their children, improving water regulation system, improving their health, improving their education, improving any aspect of their lives. All of a sudden, in the process of feeding themselves, the communities are becoming also richer. We free women from the slavery of feeding humanity. We free the economies with the right investment. We need to stop throwing money at the problem, and we need to start investing in the solutions. Clean cook stoves is the solution, and I hope that governments will take it more seriously. I didn't see anything of Mrs. Ivanka Trump when she visited in the last 3 days India. Prime Minister Modi has been one of the champions of clean cook stoves. He's been one of the persons that has invested in the biggest quantity of clean cook stoves. I hope, even I didn't read anything, that clean cook stoves was a very important conversation on this GS meeting between with USA, obviously, participation and leadership. Because if not, was a big missing opportunity that the country is doing actually the most in bringing clean cook stove forward. Mm-hmm. That the United States would not be there supporting those initiatives in that part of the world.
If we could go back to Puerto Rico.
You understood me, right?
Yeah, perfectly.
Right.
I think we're all going to go out and buy a clean cook stove.
You understand my English, right? So I see you're very serious, and you're like, Atlantic Council, I understand you're serious, but it's okay to be cool down and do it good. All right.
Going back to Puerto Rico, you were telling us a little bit before we came into the bigger audience about some of the work you were doing with hospitals. And I know I read in a you were mainly obviously focused on feeding people, but sometimes it sounds like you came across, as you were distributing food around the island, you came across people who needed medicine, who couldn't get their medicine because of the roads being washed out and the electricity being gone. So it sounds like you did work with Coast Guard, military personnel, some other folks. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to work with some of the organizations, and can you talk a little bit about, I think a lot of people in the emergency preparedness community would like to see more public-private partnership and some more innovation, and I'm interested in what your experience was from that perspective.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if some of you follow what we did during 8 weeks, but in case somebody follow, was even a moment that seems was tensions between myself and World Central Kitchen and FEMA, and was far away from the truth. Number one, I think America should be giving a big round of applause to every single man and woman that over the last 3-4 months, especially between fires and hurricanes and all these natural disasters, they've been day in and day out taking care of the American people. From Homeland Security, obviously, FEMA, National Guard, Navy, you name it. Everybody's been volunteers, NGOs. Everybody's been doing at the individual level an amazing job. But what we're going to have to be really thinking is, in terms of food, it's very easy to understand. If you have a moment of emergency, you have to rebuild a bridge and rebuild the electric grid and put the water pumps up and running again. I understand this may not happen tomorrow or even next week. And a plan will be put in place to make that happen. Well, through the public sector, or well, through hiring private sector to make it happen. But when we're talking about food, imagine you are hungry and you're in the middle of an island and you have no food and you have no water. And even if you have money, money is no good. But imagine that situation. And you have no food to be found. Food, imagine somebody tell you, don't worry, food will come next month. I will say everybody is going to agree with me to say, in these disasters, food has to be at the very top of the equation. I'm sure these other things are as important. But food to me, if you think about it, is the only thing we do besides breathing from the moment we're born to the moment we die. It's eating, yes? Think about it. We eat. Even when we are not aware, we are eating. So imagine it's not for pleasure, but it's for need, real need. And we need to remember that food and emergency, they need to be one of the first priorities that we take care of in these kind of events. So we had many great interactions. I began, again, we were an NGO, we were not supposed to be there. My biggest regret, I've been like 8 weeks trying to get a FEMA card so I could go in the FEMA building without being kicked out. Still, I didn't got my FEMA card. But the people of FEMA were trying to get me the card. I believe they are the nicest persons, the best hard workers I've ever seen. But some reason the system didn't allow them to get me a card. So it was very funny that FEMA will do a tweet saying, we're very happy to endorse the feeding plan of José Andrés for the island, but then I couldn't get a card. It's like, really? So my dream in this moment is to one day get this kind of card that allows me into the FEMA headquarters. But they kicked me out, and I said that, and somebody made, and if I was them, I would kick myself out, because I'm annoying like hell. And I was breaking the rules. I was coming from the kitchen. But to me, I'm a chef. Even if you are not allowed into the building, they didn't tell me I couldn't come from the back. So I came every time through the back to go to the places I needed to meet, because my main thing was I need to feed the people. So to put things in perspective, right? First Monday, we do 2,000 meals. Thursday, I get the top guy of one of the top NGOs, and 7 p.m., and stops with his Jeep. Hey, do you know a group of chefs that are feeding people around here?
I might
Like,
know.
maybe I may know them. What do you need? You have 200 something. 200 sandwiches? Oh, yeah. 200 apples? Yeah. 200 bottles of water? Yeah. That Thursday night is when I realized we were having a problem. Because if this super big NGO was coming to us that we were not supposed to be there for food for an elderly home. So first day we did 2,000 meals, all right? Are you with me? Yep. We ended with, we were 20 group of cooks that besides me that I had my hotel, everybody was sleeping with no lights, with no money, with no electricity. We do 2,000 meals. By Sunday, we were doing 20,000 meals a day. By next Sunday, we were already close to reaching 100,000, 120,000. At one point, we reached 175,000 meals a day. And thanks to FEMA putting the right people together, and through those kind of incursions I did into the headquarters, I was able to work with the Army engineers.
Corps of Engineers. Mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated by the maps. They had more maps, people knew what to do. But they're important maps if you know what to do with them. So I got these guys that because I fed them before and they knew who I was, I guess, even they were super serious as military are. They helped me put together this kind of map of what it will take to feed Puerto Rico. But I was only dreaming. Because my wife will tell you, I'm here to try to feed anybody, because I love to cook. And all of a sudden, maybe I was going crazy, Apocalypse Now, Marlon Brando in the cave. But like, shit, how we can feed more people? And so by then, I had so much intelligence, because going around the island, I already knew what kitchens were active, who was going to be my partner. I already got 26 cooks that came in from the States. I sent a text message to a company called Compass and Bon Appetit, the biggest food company in America. And I told Fidele, and the owner of Bon Appetit, I need cooks. And the next text message was, how many? Say as many as you can. In less than 3 days, I got close to 24 people of the best men and women that America can provide to feed people. We had 12 kitchens that we knew we wanted to open. We had a map. I began telling people I need gas here, I need fuel there, I need food there. We already had the menus. We had the plan because we couldn't communicate on the phone. Everybody knew when to be, with how many volunteers to be, when to show up. And within a week, we were able to open 12 kitchens. We ended with 20 kitchens in total. At one moment, we operated 18 kitchens. And at the end, we had 14 kitchens in the perimeter and 4 kitchens in the heart of the island. Only using the private sector mentality. We wouldn't do that if FEMA didn't come and help me with money. Because at one moment I was broke. I was spending more money I had in my bank account, much, much more. But then FEMA came and helped with money in what they call the contracts, a word I hate though. Because me, I didn't look for contracts. I didn't care about contracts. I didn't care about anything. I only care about feeding people. I only wanted the food. I could provide the volunteers. So at the end, we began with 2,000. We began with 3 million. 2,000 the first day, 3 million the last day. We began with 2 food trucks. We ended with 10 food trucks. That they were our tankers. They will go door by door to elderly homes. We began with 1 kitchen. We ended with 20. And we deliver food through helicopter, ship, Humvees. National Guard came to save us when we had to cross a river with no bridge. U.S. Coast Guard were volunteering in Vieques and Culebra. We worked with Homeland Security early on. It's the power of a hotel and a Rams hour. We had 120 men from Homeland Security called HSI, which is the Border Patrol. And ICE, I couldn't believe, a guy that, as you know how much I support immigration reform, ICE is not my favorite people in the world. But at the same time, the big learning, when you see that those men and women of ICE are as caring or even more than anybody, and they are only doing their job. And this helped me change my mind about ICE in this case, because I never saw more loving and caring people. They were delivering sandwiches to the very hard-hit areas up in the mountains every single day. You had to see them, 40 cars, 40 jeeps, stopping every day in front of our kitchens, all the volunteers filling up the cars with sandwiches, fruit, and water, and then they leaving during the day to deliver 1 sandwich at a time, 1 home at a time. So the experience working with the people of the federal government was great. The question I'm going to be asking everybody as I have my ideas more clear is, what can we do to break away from red tape? Because I do believe that we have the men and women of the federal government enchained in a system that doesn't allow them to be as successful as they can be and as successful as they know they should be. And I think a guy like me that was not supposed to be there, I don't want to be used, a pen in the neck. I want to be their friend, with eyes that come friends from the outside, trying to be as helpful as I can to say, you know what? Everybody seems to agree that we have too much red tape. What we have to do to take the red tape, put the red tape away, and give the real meaning to emergency. In food, I have it very clear. If you're hungry today, I'm going to feed you right now, not a week from today. And if we are able to apply this to every single thing, I think we can improve readiness on emergency the next time this happens.
That's fantastic. Well, I know we have a huge audience and I'm sure a huge number of questions. So let me stop talking and open up the floor.
Did I answer too long?
No, I think everyone is captivated. So let me turn it over to you in the audience. And I see someone with their hand up in the back. I believe that we have microphones. So if you could just say your name and who you are.
Members here.
And then please ask Chef Andres.
Boom.
Good afternoon. My name is Max Trujillo. I work here in Washington, D.C. I wanted to ask Chef Andres, again, thank you for all the work that you did in Puerto Rico. I'm from Puerto Rico, and everybody who's on the island appreciates the work that you have done down there. Very heartfelt. What do you think are the lessons learned that you can right away comment on that can continue to help the people in Puerto Rico that are still without power and still without the ability to provide for themselves in this emergency? What are the logistics that you've learned in this process that can help the government in Puerto Rico continue to do the work that you started? Thank you.
Again, I thank you for the question. Again, by no means now I'm an expert of anything. I'm expert on my own mistakes, and I learn through them, and I try to fix them in private life, in public life. So anything I'm going to be telling you is my modest, humble opinion. Obviously, I'm writing a book about that, but I'm going through the process of learning exactly many answers to these questions that they're going to be showing up. But I'm going to give you examples more than anything. At one moment, you understand that we were trying to bring water into the island because the water system of Puerto Rico kind of shut down. I'm still trying to assess if that was the reality of what happened. Because Puerto Rico is a sweet water, clean water rich island. Obviously, without the electricity, the pumps stop working, so you cannot pump more water. And also the filtering and how we call it, the purifiers to clean the water stops working, and so it's no more delivery of water. But some of those places, what they call in Puerto Rico oases, which they have more than 100, somehow they were functional. But was the perception between the people of Puerto Rico that that water was not good for drinking? So nobody will drink that water, even the few people that got that water in their homes. And when you will have sometimes Army water tanks showing up in some villages, people, I don't know if it's the Flint mentality, they were afraid to use that water for drinking. Alberto de la Cruz, the owner of Coca-Cola in Puerto Rico, in his main production factory in the heart of the island, in a town called Sidra, he put 6 lines of water out in the street. You will think that you will have the biggest line of people filling gallons of water. I passed through there many times, and he told me that too himself, and was nobody filling up the water there, because still, even with the Coca-Cola plant, and people will drink Coca-Cola, it still was this kind of crazy thought that that water was not good water. So we need to learn better about how to communicate with our fellow Americans. And every time something happens, you see that everybody should have a solar radio. And if it's not solar or radio, that you can have a mechanism that you put the radio up and running if you have no batteries. Radio was the only way to be communicating with the people of Puerto Rico. And I was listening to the radio every time I was in the car. I barely saw any news from anybody. I'm saying barely because maybe it was happening, and happens I had the radio on for 2 hours in the wrong moment. I don't know. That's why I'm telling you I'm trying to understand. But I didn't saw messages that will alleviate the lack of information that I sensed the people of Puerto Rico had. So we had to be bringing over 1 million gallons of water a day. Did you try to carry 4 gallons of water? Only 4 gallons? It's not something I want to do in my life every day. Imagine 1 million gallons a day. And then no fuel. How do you distribute it? People only wanted bottles. It was impossible. I saw a 75-year-old woman in front of me falling down because she didn't drink for 2 days. So this is one of the lessons. Sometimes it's use the simplicity of communication to send the right message. And maybe being the most powerful country in the history of the world, stop bringing loads of water and just activate every single generator we can buy in America around the world, bring them, put them right in every water plant, and in less than a week fix the water problem. I'm sure somebody has a better explanation than me, but between you and me, everybody told me also, wow, how are you able to get the food? And I'm like, well, I went to the private sector, I went to a shop, I opened an account, I gave him my credit card, and then I took food with me, and tomorrow I call again, and he gave me food. I never had a problem with food. When you rely on the private sector, usually you're going to find very good experiences. The same to me, I think, was with the water. I think we created that issue. Then we can keep going on and on. But imagine cell towers were not working. You couldn't communicate for weeks. Still today, you leave San Juan, you leave Ponce, you have a hard time communicating. So was a lot of things that, yes, the hurricane created, but then sometimes lack of adaptation made certain problems worse. I do believe the federal government, I think FEMA will agree with me, we need to be learning in how to adapt to circumstances we don't foresee. If in the NFL we have a coach for special teams, shouldn't we have in FEMA also special teams that this is not like we planned, but we need to adapt. We need to be more adaptable because more hurricanes are going to be coming. They're going to be hitting in places we never expected. And this was water and cell. What happens if it goes through the middle of our biggest nuclear plant and something happens? So we need to be more prepared. Why? Because we're America, and we should be more prepared, and we have the men and women to be more prepared.
I would just say on that note, and then I definitely want to take it back to the audience, we have a big problem with a lack of preparedness in the United States. And someone like you, with the work that you've done, would be a wonderful spokesman to try to help Americans all around the country understand that they do need to be more prepared and that we do need to be a little more ready. So it would be terrific if your book is able to help kind of put out that call.
I need the help of everybody, because many of the things I have in my brain, I don't have immediate answers, but I know others have. So I want this to be a book that is trying to bring all these answers that I don't have, but I saw the problem. Mm-hmm. Just to give you a quick example, I was in the convention center in Houston. I was able to bring with me almost 250,000 pounds of beef and chicken. I look like John Wayne with a caravan, but instead of the middle of crossing America and bringing the cows, I was bringing the trucks. And for me, it was happiness. I was able to bring that. And convention center was my place. We had there 12,000 men and women, Americans, at that convention center, and was the headquarters of the relief aid, if I'm right. I found home there because chefs we take care of. I brought the chefs with me. We began cooking. For some reason, somebody, I'm not going to get who or why, they shut down what is the biggest kitchen probably in Texas, the kitchen at the convention center, because there was other ways to be feeding the men and women at the convention center. Somebody made that decision. So until that bigger kitchen, which is run, I don't know if you're aware, but Southern Baptist Church, they should always be applauded, because the Southern Baptist Church are the Navy SEALs of food relief in America. Every time you see that America is being fed after hurricanes in the southern part, it's always the Southern Baptist Church that is there cooking, feeding Americans. And I don't think we give them enough recognition. Red Cross delivers the food, but it's the men and women of Southern Baptist that they are doing an amazing job for years, and I don't think we've been giving them enough credit for the amazing work they've done on behalf of all of us to feed Americans in need. But putting that aside, Southern Baptist Church was trying to do their kitchen, but they closed the main kitchen. And we had a food truck. That happens with McDonald's, which I want to clap them because they were there trying to help too. What happened, that food truck only could produce 500 burgers an hour. Are you with me? We had 12,000 people in the convention center. I don't care, but who made that decision is not supposed to be running feeding operations. Because you cannot have a mother with 2 kids, 3 hours waiting in line for a hamburger. Are you understand what I'm talking about here? Even if you say, well, but you know, we're going to help them eventually. No, we need to be helping Americans better and more structured. So this, nobody criticizes it. For nobody, it's a failure. For me, it's a failure. Because I will never close the main kitchen. I will keep the main kitchen because that kitchen can produce food quicker and faster and deliver 12,000 meals in an hour, not in 3-4 hours. So even things like this that we don't see as a failure, to me, is the symptom of something else bigger happening later. That's somehow what I saw in Puerto Rico. You may seem it's not connection, but it's totally connected. And we need to make sure that we put away the weak links and only put the strongest people that really know how to, in this case, feed people. Apply the same to any other scenario.
Special teams. Okay, you right here in the front.
Thanks. Hey, this is Christy Delafield. I work for Mercy Corps. Had the pleasure of working with you and your team in Puerto Rico a tiny bit. Just excited to hear what's next for World Central Kitchen. You guys have been expanding in exciting ways in areas of sustainability, sanitation, and hygiene training. Like, what's on the horizon?
Good. You know about World Central Kitchen, and yeah, we are. Anything has to do with food, we've been learning, and we are touching a lot of areas. We are now in 6-7 countries. But again, we are like $1 million NGO. What we are able to do with $1 million is amazing. And we went from $1 million 501c3 to I don't know how many millions. We barely touched the money because money was coming in and going. But it's been a big change. Do I dream that World Central Kitchen is going to be an amazing vehicle for chefs and food people of America to be feeding Americans in moments of emergency? I think we should. I don't think I can retire now. I don't think I can retire World Central Kitchen. I don't think I can escape out of my life anymore. My life was like, man, is something you want to tell me? Because every time you're finding a bigger and bigger excuse to be away from home. I'm like, no. Like, that's not the case. I mean, my wife is the same. But I left for 4 days, 5 days. I was supposed to come back home Friday, and look at what happened. So I don't think we can escape maybe our fate. I do believe is something World Central Kitchen can bring to the table. I think many of the big NGOs want to be talking to us. Mercy Corps wants to be talking to us. Oxfam wants to be talking to us. Through the process, I had many of these people talking to us and giving us advice and support. And Mercy Corps sent there a few men and women, and they were helping us deliver food in some parts of the island. So for me, it was a great learning experience that we were David, and we were working with Goliath. And this is a very beautiful thing to see. So do I see that some of the bigger NGOs that they have years and more experience than us this is not about David now trying to bring down Goliath. No, this is the contrary. This is about Goliath grabbing David by the hand and saying, let's work together. I think we're going to specialize on feeding on smart food solutions. And I hope World Central Kitchen 100 years from now will slowly grow in a smart way, in a private sector mentality way. And because we have the net of chefs, if emergency strikes in America, and one day maybe in other countries, like we've done already in Haiti, we should have a readiness team to go and help a percentage of the population of that hurricane area. We know how. We can do it quicker, faster, cheaper, much cheaper than sending MREs. The main problem with MREs is that it costs the American taxpayer too much money. And the problem with MREs is that put the men and women sometimes in danger. If you're 80, 90, if you are an 80-year-old, and the only thing you have is an MRE to eat, I only want to see how your body is going to be responding 2-3 days after. There's no way your body responds well. So MREs is not the way. MREs is a short-term solution. But in America, we should have a better solution. There's no way that we cannot be activating. Somebody's going to tell me that activating restaurants that are closed is not a smart idea to do. And should be done quick, fast, and effective. And in the process, is what we did. By using 10 food trucks, you know what we did? We put close to 70, 80 men and women in business. Because while they were volunteers, is one moment we began paying them. So we are helping the economy already restarting. I was not bringing the bread from other parts of the world, or America, or from homeland, or from South America. I was buying the bread from the local bakeries in the island. Everything we were trying to do was whatever was local that will help activate the local economy. Haiti, we saw what happened with the rice. We brought so much rice from outside, which is a goodwill, and America did amazing. But we need to start not doing good, but doing a smart good. If in the process of feeding the people of Haiti, we put the entire rice industry out of business, I don't think that's smart, and I don't think that should be the intention. And I don't think that's what the American people want. So that's what I believe World Central Kitchen should become. I hope I'll be getting more amazing board members with expertise in other areas to keep helping my actual board and myself to keep finding the true potential of what World Central Kitchen should become. But we want to have the mentality of a small company, a small NGO, but adapting to cover the needs if something like this ever happens again.
Okay, can we have the gentleman there on the aisle?
For the long answers.
Chef, I was going to just pass you.
Are you always so serious at the time?
Let me try to break it up for you. Michael O'Byrne, you have the means to commercialize products through your retail locations. Puerto Rico's agricultural sector was decimated. Puerto Ricans also don't like to eat green iguana, but have tens of millions of green iguanas. Would you start importing green iguanas or other exotic proteins like that?
Well,
I'm mixing it up. I'm trying.
I mean, I know I'm not gonna die a billionaire because I spend my money before I get my money in my pocket, but I wanna die with some money in my pocket. I love iguana. I think it's a delicious meat. But listen, I put in my restaurants lionfish. I am a good, some people will say, I love scuba diving. I go all around the world scuba diving. I go with National Geographic to Galapagos, and I see, for example, the good that you can do by putting lionfish in your menu and making it one of the most popular fish. It's plenty of lionfish in the ocean, unfortunately, around the Caribbean and Florida. But right now, I cannot buy enough. We always are running out. So that's good news because the price is going up, and this is going to be making more and more fishermen to be getting into the business of lionfish. Right now, in the process of feeding people, we've been scouting. Already in Vieques, and I have Javier, one of my board members, who is a good business guy. He is in the board of World Central Kitchen. He already saw the opportunity to be partnering with a couple of fishermen associations in Vieques, and we're going to be trying to do a smart investment into a refrigerator facility, ice facility, money for them to have nets and repair or buy the new little boats and start activating that little artisanal fishing fleet in the island of Vieques. We kind of did a little project like this in Jacmel and was successful. Again, we are a very small NGO, okay? But imagine as we have more funds, we know how to put those funds at the service of improving the lives of people. I don't think iguana yet, but I'm giving you other proteins that we've been successfully trying to actively help people and bring them. One of the first projects we did in Dominican Republic, in exchange for the woman not cutting trees and making charcoal, we created this association of a woman. We gave them beehives, and we gave 42 away, and that created almost 15% of their yearly income. And in the process was great because we were trying to make sure that in the Dominican Republic side, people didn't begin cutting trees to make charcoal to sell on the Haitian side. So we are doing things like this that are super smart, super efficient, always business mentality. Again, I repeat, NGOs of the future, they have to have a business mentality. We cannot keep throwing money at the problems where the money just goes away and nobody knows what happened. We need to start having a true return on investment. That's the new way to be doing investments through the NGO world, I believe.
Last question, the lady in the green jacket, please.
I'm FEMA, I'm an Atlantic Council member. I normally come here to listen to nuclear issues, so this is a breath of fresh air to listen to food. And that's why we're very serious. I have a question for you. As a culinary expert, what can we do to use food as a vehicle to bring countries who have been enemies for decades together under the same umbrella?
Like India, Pakistan.
So explain the.
How can we use food as a vehicle, to use an expert, to bring countries who have been enemies for decades together?
Well, sorry, yeah, okay, we're going deeper there.
Cultural diplomacy.
Yeah. Listen, the United States has been at the forefront on that. Secretary Beefsteak used the Department of Agriculture to help men and women farmers in Afghanistan to move from the poppy seed growing to some farming that will bring another source of income, sometimes with good results. Obviously, I think everybody agrees that sitting around a table brings certain comfort to people that maybe other ways will be uncomfortable sitting in front of each other. Food has this so much part of our DNA that. But I think here the big challenge we have in the 21st century is just not at the regional level, but just saying that the world at the end seems very big, but at the end is small. And at the end, we're going to be having the issues of water, who owns that river, who owns that cloud. And we're going to have to start really emphasizing more and more that, well, that cloud over there that maybe is right here in between this country and this other country belongs to both. And how we're going to be investing time in, for example, having the best engineers. I came back from Harvard and MIT. And I gave a lecture. I teach at Harvard. I teach physics. I don't know why, because I don't have a club of physics, but I teach physics at Harvard through cooking. And the challenge, and I went there with challenges because you have very smart guys. We've been doing very good work on water recollection through the dew, but I don't think that's enough. I think all the good technology that tries to bring seawater and go through the process is expensive. Probably it'll be a solution. But me, every time I see a big cloud, I keep thinking, what if we milk the clouds? So imagine we put countries that they seem they are total enemies, like Pakistan and India, that have very smart people, and put them together and say, man, you have some of the biggest concentration of clouds right here in your backyard. Why you stop fighting about things that you shouldn't be fighting and start coming up with challenges that are common to both? And you start with crazy ideas that seems impossible, but I do believe they're possible, as milking the clouds. And where we can redirect with that water that we're going to be milking up there, and I hope in my lifetime I will see it, we can be bringing the water to the places that we need it. So I know this answer had nothing really to do with your question. But after 27 years in Washington, you learn watching politicians. But listen, I do believe anytime a country shows up to help another country, creates a will that we cannot value in money. I think what America has been doing for so many years of showing up, not only in America, but any country that had the need, is something that America should be proud. And I think America should do more to tell America the goodwill that America brings every time they show up anywhere in the world to help the people. And I think we need to do a better job, because I don't want any politician using that against America itself. We have sometimes some politicians right now that they are saying we are going to be cutting foreign aid and food aid. And this will be against the best interests of America, because America has earned so much goodwill by men and women with, in this case, food. That is what I care the most, and I know the most, showing up, bringing hope that tomorrow may be a better day, only with showing them that we care. We need to remember that people don't want our pity. People want only our respect. And if you show up with a plate of food, you're showing them respect, but in exchange, you're getting that respect back. So I do believe the best that America should keep doing, because America has been doing it successfully, is make sure that foreign aid, and in the case of food, making sure that food is something that unites the people of the world, that unite the countries of the world, and especially maybe those countries that we are kind of in a social relationship with. I would love to go maybe to North Korea and bring them food, and maybe finding a peaceful one day. Maybe we should. Maybe we didn't try hard enough. And we had very good people working on that for years, and we know the issue is much more difficult than that. But I do believe a plate of food can open the hearts of the most difficult people and the most dark minds. So I will always put my money that a humble plate of food made with heart and delivered with love can be a very amazing diplomacy tool. America has shown us that that can work. We need to keep investing. That food will be part of the a peaceful tomorrow.
Amen to that. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I would also know, I mean, again, thank you, Chef. This was fantastic. Thanks, everyone, for coming. As you walk out, we've put a couple of great organizations, in addition to in addition to World Central Kitchen, we've made some suggestions. If any of you would like to give donations to try to help out with Puerto Rico, there are some suggestions on the screens outside. Thank you, Chef Andres, and thank everyone so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
If everybody could please remain seated until our speakers exit.
It was a pleasure, really a pleasure.
Everyone please remain seated until our speakers
I love
exit.
your wife's gazpacho. We make it at home. Excellent.